Hello, beautiful people. How are you this amazing day? I hope that you are all well and ready to start coding for FreeCodeCamp. If you're new to my channel, then hi, how are you again? My name is Eleftheria and I'm a front-end developer. Today I'm going to start the challenge of introduction to basic HTML and HTML5. I've already done some things, but I want to continue my education and maybe to do a good recap. So yeah, before we start, I would like to remind you to please share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I think that I have some videos that you will like. I've been dealing with FreeCodeCamp for a while now, and I have also created quite a few more videos, and yeah, that's it. So now I hope that you are sitting well and you are ready to start coding with me. The way that we are going to do things is I'm going to read on the left part here the information and the instruction. I'm going to code on the middle part, and then on the right we're going to see the results. Are you ready? Because I know I am. Alright, let's start. The first thing, say hello to HTML elements. Welcome to FreeCodeCamp's HTML coding challenges. This will walk you through web development step by step. First, you'll start by building a simple web page using HTML. You can edit code in your code editor, which is embedded into this website. Do you see the code in your code editor that says hello? That's an HTML element. Most HTML elements have an opening tag and a closing tag. Opening tags look like this, h1, whereas closing tags look like h1 with this slash. So the only difference between opening and closing tags is the forward slash after the opening bracket of a closing tag. Each challenge has tests you can run at any time by clicking the Run Tests button. When you pass all tests, you'll be prompted to submit your solution and go to the next coding challenge. To pass the test on this challenge, just change your h1 elements text to say hello world. So I'm quickly going to copy the words and I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to click on run the test and then of course submit and go to the next challenge. And let's go to the second challenge, headline with the h2 element. Over the next few lessons, you will build an HTML5 card photo web app piece by piece. The h2 element you will be adding in this step will add a level 2 heading to the web page. This element tells the browser about the structure of your website. h1 elements are often used for main headings, while h2 elements are generally used for subheadings. There are also h3, h4, h5 and h6 elements to indicate different levels or subheadings. So you have from h1 till h6. The thing that we have to do for this challenge is to add an h2 tag that says cat photo app. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it right here with an h2. Okay, I think that's the only thing that we have to do, and yes, we are correct and we can continue. The third challenge is inform with the paragraph element. So p elements are the preferred element for paragraph text on websites. P is short for paragraph, and there is also an example that says p imp tag. So create a p element below the h2 element and give it a text hello paragraph. Alright, so far we'll learn that we have our p elements, not like that, we have our p elements as well as h1 till h6, and p elements are most suitable for paragraphs, whereas h1 and h2 are most suitable for headers and subheaders. Fill in the blank with placeholder text. So traditionally, web developers used to use the text of lorem ipsum, and this is from Cicero of ancient Rome. But now we will change things a little bit, and we will use this text. So the challenge says replace the text inside your P element with the first few words of the kitty ipsum text. Cool, so I'm going to delete the hello paragraph and I'm going to paste our new text. Things are going well and we can continue. Uncomment HTML. In order to have a comment, you will use this, but if you want to not have a comment, you can simply delete it. And that's what our challenge is about. Continuing, we have the comment out HTML. Here you'll need to end the comment before your h2 element begins. So comment out your h1 element and your p element, but not your h2. So I will comment my h1. I will also comment the paragraph, but the h2 is going to be shown. Cool. Delete HTML elements. Our phone doesn't have much vertical space, so let's remove the unnecessary elements so we can start building our cut photo up. Delete the h1. Okay, let's do that. And run the test. Things are going well, and let's start building the app. The first thing is introduction to HTML5 elements, and the HTML5 elements are things like header, footer, nav, video, articles, sections, and more. These elements are better for search engine optimization and accessibility. This time we will use the main tag. So the main HTML tag helps search engines and other developers find the main content of your page. Note, many of the new HTML tags and their benefits are covered in the Applied Accessibility section, and yes, later I'm also going to do a video about that section, so stay tuned. Create a second P element after the existing P element with the following kitty ipsum text. So I'm going to copy that and wrap the paragraphs with an opening and closing main tag. Alright, so first I am going to create a paragraph, and inside this paragraph I'm going to paste the text, and I will have also the main that it will wrap the two paragraphs. If you guys have any question about these challenges, you can leave me a comment and I will do my best to answer it. Let's continue. Add images to your website. So in order to add an image, you will have something like this. Image, CRC, and a URL for this image. CRC stands for source, and note that image elements are self-closing, which means you don't have another image tag here. All image elements must have an alt attribute, and the text inside an alt attribute is used for screen readers to improve accessibility and is displayed if the image fails to load. If the image is purely decorative, using an empty alt attribute is best practice. Ideally, the alt attribute should not contain special characters unless needed. Let's add an alt attribute to our image example above. I am going to copy that, and here it says let's try to add an image to our website. Insert an image tag before the h2. Okay, and set the source at this URL right here. Cool. And finally, don't forget to give your image an alt text. It already has an alt text, so I'm not going to change that, but as you can see, we have the image and it's a lovely cut. Alright, let's keep going. Link to external pages with anchor elements. Cool. So you can use anchor elements to link to connect outside of your web page. Anchor elements need a destination web address called href attribute. They also need anchor text. So here is an example: a href and then a URL, and this a is closing. So then your browser will display the text. These links go to FreeCodeCamp as a link that you can click. What we have to do is to create an a element that links to this URL and has cut photos as an anchor text. I'm going to copy that part here and I'm going to paste it just before the images. Now also I'm going to copy the URL and I'm going to change that href, as well as I'm going to copy the cut photos and I will have it as my text here. Alright, cool. Run the test, submit and go to the next challenge. So everything so far is looking pretty cool. A link to internal sections of a page with anchor elements. Anchor elements can also be used to create internal links to jump to different sections within a web page. To create an internal link, you assign a link's href attribute to a hash symbol plus the value of the ID attribute for the element that you want to internally link to, usually further down the page. You then need to add the same ID attribute to the element you are linking to. An ID is an attribute that uniquely describes an element. So here you also have an example. Let's see what we have to do. Change your external link to an internal link. So this is our external link. Okay, I will delete this and most probably also this. And now it says change your external link to an internal link by changing the href attribute to footer. So here I'm going to have href, and inside the quotes I'm going to have the footer. Let me fix that like this. And okay, and so now the other thing that we have to do is remove the target blank. We did that. Then add an ID attribute with the value of footer to the footer. So then I'm going to copy footer and I'm going to do it as in this example. So I'm going here and I'm going to add the ID of footer, and let's run the test to see if everything is correctly. Oh, we didn't change the text. So here the text should say not cut photos but jump to bottom. Cool, now this is correct and we can continue working. Nest an anchor element within a paragraph. You can nest links within other text elements. So here we have a paragraph. Inside this paragraph we have an A with href. So I guess that we will be asked to do something similar. Now nest your existing A element within a new P paragraph just after the existing main. Okay, so we will have to add it here, a new P, and let's close it right here. Okay, the new paragraph should have the text that says view more cut photos. So I'm going to copy view more. And since we added the view more, we can click on the run test and continue working. Cool. Next thing, make dead links using the hash symbol. So sometimes you want to add an A element to your website before you know where they will link. So you can also do that with JavaScript, but this is something that we are going to see later. And again, I'm going to create a video about it. So yep, stay tuned. The current value of the href attribute is a link that points to this URL. So I guess that we will have to delete that, right? And instead we will have to use a hash. Okay. Replace the href attribute value with a hash, also known as a hash symbol, to create a dead link. For example, href equals hash. Cool, cool, cool. Let's see what we have now. Turn an image into a link. Nest your image with an E element. So this is our image and we will have to nest it like so. Okay, and place the existing image element within a non-current element, so maybe I will also have to use the href. Once you've done this, hover over your image with your cursor. Your cursor normal pointer should become the link clicking pointer. The photo is now a link, so I should probably use also a hash. And now if I click on it, I can see that my pointer is changing, and let's see if this is also correct. It is, so we can continue. Create a bullet and order list. Cool. So an order list starts with an opening UL unorder list, so followed by any number of list elements. Finally, an order list close with an UL. And we also have an example here that I'm going to copy it. Remove the last two paragraphs elements and create an unordered list of 3 things that cuts low at the bottom of the page. Let's first delete the 2 paragraphs, and then I'm going to paste the unordered list, and I'm going to create a 3rd list item. And we have milk, cheese, and let's also say fish, because I think cats like fish. Do you guys like cats? I know I do. Okay, submit and go to the next challenge and see what else we have. Create an ordered list. So before we did an unordered list, but here we have the way of creating an ordered list. And instead of UL for unordered, we have the OL for the order list. Let's read what exactly we have to do. It says create an order list of the top 3 things cats hate the most. Alright, we have Garfield, Sylvester, and I'm going to say that they also don't like water. They like to drink water, but other than that, they really don't like water. Okay, what else? Create a text field. Cool. To create a text list, you will need an input type text, and that's it. You don't even need to close that tag. So create an input element of type text below your list. I'm going here and I'm very simply going to paste the input type text. Everything seems correct, so again we can continue. Alrighty. Add a placeholder text to a text field, and in order to do so you will need a placeholder. In this example it says this is a placeholder text. Okay, I am going here to my text. Let's read what we have to do, and it says set the placeholder value of your tab for your text input to cat photo URL. So let's copy that thing, and I'm going to change that part right here, so cat photo URL, and as you can see here it is. Let's click on run the test and we can continue. Cool. Also, we have now created a form element. So to create a form, we use form action, which is going to be a URL that your data is going to go, and then we are closing this form. So let's do that. Nest your text field inside form element. So let's create that form element, and I'm also going here to close the tag of form, and it says add an action. Okay, so let's go here and add our action submit cat photo. Okay, I think that that's the only thing that we have to do, and now we can continue with adding a submit button to the form. To create a button, and more specifically to create a button with the type submit, you only have to do this kind of things. So I'm going just after my input, and I'm going to have the button. I'm going to take the submit, and simply I'm going to paste it here. So now we have cat photo URL and the bottom of submit. Alright, things are going well, so let's see what else we have to do. Use an HTML5 to require a field. So to make a field required, you only have to use this tag, the required. It says make your text input a required field so that your user can submit the form without completing this field. I'm going here on my input, I'm going to add the required, and let's click on submit. As you can see, you cannot submit it because you haven't typed anything. This time I will type something, I will click on submit, and like as you can see, I don't have the same problem. I'm getting a 404 kind of thing, but this is not our current problem. Let's run the test, let's submit and go to the next challenge and see what else we have to do. This time we have to create a set of radio buttons. So to create radio buttons, we have some information here, and it says each of your radio buttons can be nested with its own label element. By wrapping an input element inside of a label element, it will automatically associate the radio button input with a label element surrounding it. All related radio buttons should have the same name attribute to create a radio button group. By creating a radio group, selecting any single radio button will automatically deselect the other buttons with the same group, ensuring only one answer is provided by the user. So here is also an example. You have label, input, type radio, name, enter, outdoor, and enter. This enter is going to be visible to the user. It is considered best practice to set a for attribute on the label, so as you can see here, with a value that matches the value of the ID attribute of the input element. This allows assistive technologies to create a linked relationship between the label and the child input element. And here is also the whole example. So everything is the same, but you have the for enter and also the same ID, which again is enter. What we have to do is add a pair of radio buttons to your form, each nested in its own label element. One should have the option of indoor and the other one the outdoor. Both should share the name attribute indoor outdoor to create a radio group. Alright, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to paste it 2 times. The first one, so the first time I will have it as an indoor, whereas the second time I will have it as an outdoor. Am I forgetting something? Let's see, by running the test. Nope, I didn't forget anything, so we can continue. Now it's time to create a set of checkboxes. So forms commonly use checkboxes as well, and each of your checkboxes can be nested with its own label element. By wrapping an input element inside of a label element, it will automatically associate the checkbox input with the label element surrounding it. So all related checkbox input should have like the name attribute, okay. And let's see the example. I will also copy that one, but now it says like label for loving input. It has also an ID of loving. So then we have type, checkbox, and personality. Then add your form a set of 3 checkboxes. So each checkbox should be rested with its own label element. All 3 should share the name attribute of personality. So yep, let's copy that one and let's go after our inputs, and I will add this thing 3 times, and now for each time I have the 4, which is loving, but I'm going to change the text. The first one is going to be loving, then caring, and the third one is going to be sharing. Okay, let's run the test and everything seems to be correct. Okay, let's go to the next challenge, which is check radio buttons and the checkboxes by default. If we want to have something checked by default, we can use the attribute checked. So I will also copy the word checked. Everything seems like quite straightforward, and what we have to do is set the first of your radio buttons and the first of your checkboxes to both checked by default. And I'm going to search for the first of my radio buttons here. Because everything is stacked under the others, I cannot like read very quickly which one is my first radio button and which one is my first checkbox. So I will try to add a line here, like a break line. Okay, is this correct? Because I don't think that it's actually very correct. Oh no, it wasn't. It's the second one. I need to have my checkbox, but the first one to be checked. Alrighty, one more trial here, and now I think that we are correct. Great, let's keep going on, guys. Check radio buttons and checkboxes by default. Input type radio, name. Oops, it didn't change. Okay, that was a small delay. Anyway, let's keep going. Nest many elements within a single div element. So the div element, also known as a division element, is a general purpose container for other elements. The div element is probably the most commonly used HTML element of all. Just like any other non-self-closing element, you can open a div element with div and close it again with the div and this hash. Now nest your things cut love. Let me find that. Things cut love. Okay. Things cut love. Let's close it here. And things cut hate list, all within a single div element. So this should be here, I guess. Things cut love, p element, and your closing tag after your closing OL tag, so that they both of your lists are within one div. Okay, we are correct. Let's keep going. Declare the doc type of an HTML document. So the challenges so far have covered specific HTML elements and their uses. However, there are a few elements that give overall structure to your page and should be included in every HTML5 document. At the top of your document, you need to tell the browser which version of HTML your page is using. HTML is an evolving language and is updated regularly. Most major browsers support the latest specifications, which is HTML5. However, older web pages may use previous version of the language. You tell the browser this information by adding the doc type tag on the first line, whereas the dots part is the version of the HTML. For HTML5, you use doc type HTML. The exclamation mark and uppercase doc type is important, especially for older browsers. The HTML5 is not case sensitive. Next, the rest of your HTML code needs to be wrapped in HTML tags. The opening HTML goes directly below the doc type HTML line, and the closing HTML goes at the end of the page. So we also have an example, and I'm going to copy that one. Add the doc type tag for HTML5 to the top of the blank HTML document in the code editor. So under it, add opening and closing HTML tags, which wraps around an H1 element, and this is the heading, can include any text. So I'm going to paste that thing, and inside here I'm going to create an H1, and I'm going to write here, you know, hello world. Worlds, even in a plural, cause why not? Cool. Let's see what else we have, and this time it says define the head and body of an HTML document. You can add another level of organization in your HTML document within the HTML tags with the head and body elements. Any markup with information about your page would go to the head tag. Then any markup with the content of the page would go to the body tag. Metadata elements such as link, meta, title, and style typically go inside the head element. And here is also an example. You have the HTML, the head, and all your metadata elements, whereas in the body you have your main content. Edit the markup so there is a head and a body. The head element should only include the title, and the body element should only include the H1 and P. So let's take the head, let's go here and let's add the head. It will close after the title, and then we will add the body tag and we will close that right after the paragraph here. So let's close the body and let's run the test. Everything is correctly, so we are good to go. And actually that was it. We did it. Yay! We completed the introduction to basic HTML and HTML5, and OMG, I'm so happy about it. Cool. Stay tuned, guys, as in the next video I'm going to show you all the solutions for the introduction to basic CSS. I know that this chapter is quite big, but guess what, we can do it. Before you jump off this video, I would really like to remind you to share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you did that, you are awesome. If you're about to do that, you are also awesome and welcome. Thank you very much. See you guys really soon. Have an amazing day. Bye.